Could this be the best fishing kayak cart on the market? Let's talk about it. How do you do? How's it going? Man, if you've seen in my videos, I use a really big fishing kayak. It's like 13 feet. It's a Jackson Coosa FD. I think bare, it runs about, let's say 130 pounds or so. So by the time I put my Yak Attack box on there and I put all my poles and my fish finder and everything, I think we're pushing like 200. I mean, we're getting way up there. So like most guys, you kind of have a problem. Like if you can't, I use mine on a trailer, like a lot of guys do when they have them. But if you can't get near the boat ramp, or if it's swamped to bigger lakes and you just can't get in there because all the traffic is like you're stuck. So you need a kayak cart. A lot of guys I see use like the Boondocks, which I was going for. It's like $400. But then you look at it and it's only a 180 pound weight limit. And then you look at other ones and you got like the Sea Tug. There's a bunch of different ones on the market. So I was putting it out there because I was really considering, because I went to a lake and man, I just literally couldn't get near the boat dock. And I don't know about y'all, I'm not the best trailer backer upper when it comes to it, because I use like a little jet ski trailer that I slide my kayak on and off of. And those little trailers, man, are really hard to kind of tuck and go. But yeah, so I've been really kind of looking around. I put it out there and everybody was like Boondocks or Sea Tug or all these different things. And then I kept getting guys say, you know, look at the wilderness systems. And I started looking at it and it says it's 450 pound weight limit. And I'm like, oh, man, that could be true, because it doesn't look like it's that much. So I tossed around and was looking. I really wanted the Boondocks because the way you can kind of, because I made the video where I kind of made my own. But mine, I think it works, but it's kind of heavy. So I was thinking about switching material and going to like a conduit or some other type of material. And then I was like, yeah, maybe I'll just go ahead and just buy it and see if the name brand one's worth it. And then I was looking around and at the wilderness ones that they were talking about, and they're like $230, $210, depending on where you get them. And I'm like, man, it's a lot. But if that means 450 pounds, that means you could potentially like fully load your kayak, put it on there, and then go. But on the same time, if you've ever used any of those type of kayak carts where, it's like the parallel or the ones that are perpendicular and they got the wheels on it, man, they are so topsy-turvy. Like you put it on there and you're constantly trying to level it out and you're just dumping side to side. And I'm like, man, I had one, I think I got it from like a Academy or Amazon or somewhere, and it was garbage. I mean, tried to use it once, I could barely even roll the thing. And then once you hit any grass or rocks or anything, it's just, you're done. It's worthless. So I'm like, okay, maybe this will work. Everybody's saying this. I started looking at YouTube videos and people going through it, and I was like, but you gotta take it with a grain of salt. You're like, is it really gonna work like that? They could be one of those promotional guys that, they got a sponsorship and they're like, you'll make this look as best as you possibly can. And so I'm just a regular dude. Like I said, I don't give a crap about brands or any of this stuff. I want the best. And so I'm going to, take it and put it through hell. So I got one. It was like $230, I think, on Amazon. And right out the box, this is what it looks like. You get these wheels. If you can look at it, like I said, these are pretty big. That's probably, see if I can get something in reference to, here's like a TV remote, right? Look at that. So this thing is probably, I'd say 4.5, maybe 5 inches wide. It's a 12-inch diameter wheel. It's hard, solid plastic. Well, I guess it's not solid. It's kind of molded plastic, really hard, really sturdy. And this is a rubber material. It's not like the plastic material. It's kind of a rubbery material to give you some grip, especially when it gets wet. And so you get these two, and then you get your crossbar. Okay, so your crossbar, this is kind of cool because you pull these cotter pins off, and that's where your wheels go on. And then you can take these cotter pins off like this. I'll just show you. You take these cotter pins out like that. You pull one of the axles off, and then these are the braces that come in. You see these? So you have to put these on depending if you want it high or low. So you see how I've got it mounted on top? You got another groove right there if you want to put on bottom, and that just pretty much drops you about 4 inches, and it changes the height. Because if you want it to be your CG, the higher you go, you're raising the CG of the kayaks, so it makes it a little bit more top surface. You're trying to lower that CG, or maybe just you can't get that, pick it up that high, so you can lower it down or raise it up. I want mine higher. I got a bigger kayak. I got it on a kayak cart, so I want it up on the high level. And once you put that in, you literally, these bolts are pretty much, it's got holes built into it, and you just kind of loosen up the little butterfly nuts you got here, and then you slide your the axle piece right through here, through the pre-made hole in there, and then it's even got markers so you can remember, how wide you want it. Where mine, I wanted it pretty wide. I got a pretty big kayak. So yeah, you can do that, and then you slide both of them in, put your axle back on, put the wheels on, and it's even got these little foam pieces around here to kind of help catch it whenever you're putting the kayak on. And so they say pretty much what you do is you assemble the thing up. We're going to go into assemble it right now. There's all kind of videos on it you can see. But you sit it, and then it lays on the ground like this, right? So then you bring your kayak, and then once the kayak, the weight hits it, it does this number, boom, and then it levels off and it hits. And I'm like, yeah, right. You know what I'm saying? I got a fully loaded 200-something pound kayak. That ain't going to work. That thing's going to dump. It's going to go over. Nope. That worked like a charm. I was shocked. I went to Murray Lake in Oklahoma. Weekend boat ramp was packed. I couldn't get within like a block and a half, 2 blocks of the boat ramp. There were so many cars. I'm here with my little kayak, and guys are bringing these big boats and yachts and speedboats and pontoons and jet skis, and I'm like, there ain't no way in hell I'm going to get near that boat ramp. So I was like, hey, this is a perfect time to test this thing out. I put it together, fully loaded my kayak, all right? And so here's a picture of my kayak fully loaded so you can see on how big this thing is. Okay, as you can see, fully loaded, man, that thing it's on there. It's got some weight. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to fully load this thing. And I put the kayak cart down and did like they said, and I picked it up and I started pulling it off the trailer onto it, and it laid on there. And because of the foam and because it was dry, the foam and the plastic, it creates a really good friction coefficient, and it holds on. You know what I mean? I didn't even really, it comes with 2 straps, like little, the pull tension straps, and really nice straps too. And I'm like, I didn't even need them. You know what I mean? So I'm like, all right, let's see. Now, you got to think, this boat ramp, if you ever know that boat ramp's probably 20 degrees, 25 degrees, pretty good. And I'm going like 2 blocks, 2 cars. And I'm like, this is going to be a nightmare. No. I was shocked. It handled it. I went down there, no problems. And I think the problem is, because if you know anything, the wider the stance. So I would put it on the widest mark, as wide as I could get this, and put both arms all the way out. And so now you're wide, and you have the wide footprint of this tire. So the wider you get, you lower the CG of the kayak, and it'll balance the kayak. And so that way you're not so topsy-turvy. It's just like a Jeep. If you get a Jeep and you put a big 10-inch lift on it, but you don't widen the tires, your CG's high and it's going to want to tip on you. So the same thing with this. You can widen this out. You can bring it in narrow if you need to, or if you go wide with those wide tires, you're lowering that CG on that kayak, and it's not going to tip. And I was shocked, man. And then I got down to the boat ramp. I couldn't get down the boat ramp, so I had to go down like a little steep kind of a cliff with nothing but sand and loose like river rocks. And I'm like, there ain't no way. It handled like a champ. There was even some guys watching me like, holy crap. Like, dude, that thing, I thought you were going to lose it. I did too. It just went straight down, man. I was really, really impressed. And I've done it a couple times so far, and same thing. Now, that being said, so is it what they made it out to be? So far, 100%. No bull crap. I wouldn't bull crap. If it was crap, I would tell you it's crap. But this is where only things that worries me, and being an engineer, these are things that kind of I'm like looking at it, I'm like, I can see failure points. So if it were to fail, the things that do worry me, one, let's get to the real simple one. When I came out the water. Oh, sorry, I don't mean to jump around on you. I have a kayak, so if you know your kayak has usually an opening. The thing that really impressed me too, once you break this down into all the little pieces like this, you got these little arms, and you break it all down, I was able to open the top of the kayak, and it all slid back in. So I didn't have to run it all the way back up to the kayak, leave my kayak sitting there fully loaded, exposed for people just to go and swap meet it. I was able just to slide it in there and go. I was like, this is amazing, man. This is great. And other people might have it, and you're like, I've been there. But my first time user of this product, that was another bonus. Now, when I came out the water and I put it back together, When the foam wet on a wet kayak, it did get a little slippery, where it was wanting to slide back and forth, and it was a little trouble to kind of get to stick. But once you get it to line up in the grooves on the kayak, it did it. So then I put it over and I put the weight. Now you have the weight pushing down on that foam. It stuck pretty good. And then I just grabbed one of those straps, kind of tossed it through the middle, brought it up to the top, and cinched it down. And I was able to pull it out of the water. I'm still in like almost 8 inches of water with all this rock and this sand. I got to go uphill, and then uphill up the concrete of the drive. Pulled it right out of there. Even the guy, and again, other guys watching me, was like, that guy watched, they were almost like they were betting on me. Like, watch this guy dump, because I've got all this fish finder, all this shit on there. I got like 6, 7 poles hanging off the back. They're like, yeah, watch this. It pulled out of there, man. It was great. Even when I pulled up, I gave that a little light applause. It was pretty good. So, yeah. Now, my only point too is, if I'm looking at it, the wheels, great. The only part on the construction that I would see a failure that kind of worries me is, and I understand why they did it, okay? So you have, I think I lost a carter pin, where it goes through, right? See, this is just, it's a plastic block, right? And it is kind of hollowed out in the middle, sorry. It is kind of hollowed out if I took this all apart. Where it's just same thing as the tires, so it's kind of like a molded plastic. And then once you pinch together, you can see it is solid through there. But once you have that bar going through there, usually you're not going to have a really problem with bearing, which bearing is when the metal's trying to push on here and pretty much wallow this out or crack this out, and pretty much make this a failure point. Because if there's going to be a failure point, it's either going to be these bolts with this thing wanting to torque. But see, that's on there pretty good. So you've got a good, like a heel toe action right there that's really kind of keeping that pretty strong. In here, I could kind of see, because everything's good and fine when it's rolling, but everybody knows you hit a rock or you hit a spot and the thing comes to a sudden jolt, that's a lot of weight to that thing wanting to, kind of turn over and grab and push. And I'm like, okay, that thing's going to want to go. So I kind of want to see over time, if anybody else has had an issue with this wallering out or cracking or starting to crack out or fail. This bar through here for the axle is kind of a thin bar. I don't really see an issue with it. I've seen one of the reviews, somebody was talking about it failing here. I think based off because of how the tire rolls around it, you would have to have something really funky go down in order for that to fail like that. It would have to be something you did or some kind of a manufacturer deal where you're putting some unnecessary real hard bending torque on there. And but other than that, man, it is, so far, it is a really good product. I would highly recommend it for those guys that are pushing those big, like the 14, 13, 12 foot kayaks, which, fully loaded. When you're looking and he's like, man, that little cart or those little boondock legs are just going to flare out and, just go to crap. I think this is pretty much your best bet. And that's exactly what the comments that I got online were, hey, just get to wilderness and forget about it. And I get it. Yeah, 100%, man. So if you've got a big fishing kayak, big heavy fishing kayak, and you're looking for something that actually, can hang up to the weight, and you can just kind of throw it on there and go, so you don't have to try to get down to the water, or you're trying to get out of the water, but you can't because everybody's crowding the boat dock. Yeah, take a look at this. It runs at, I think, about 220, 230, 240, depending on where you get it. It's real lightweight. It is big and heavy duty. You know what I'm saying? These wheels are some big suckers, man, and which is good. It's what you want, because you don't want that thing to want to roll over on you. You get a lot of those ones, and you get those little bitty bicycle looking tires, and they're just going to roll over and dump on you. It's just going to be a pain in the ass. So hey, man, I think this is the one. If something does happen, I'll do an update video if something fails, but I think for the money you're getting, you can't beat this. Now the Boondocks ones are cool because you get to pull the legs and put them up, and yeah, but you can see a failure point. That thing's going to want to, the more weight you get, it's going to want to bone out break. You're putting unnecessary pressure on your kayak inner walls for that thing. They're trying to pull through on those bolts and, rip out of your kayak. I think this is a really safe bet, man. And I was blown away. So, man, until next time, I'm not trying to keep going on, but I wanted to share that with y'all because I know other friends of mine are kind of looking for the same thing. I told them about it too, like Wilderness Systems HD kayak cart, man. And again, I'm not sponsored, so yeah, there it is. But hey, I hope you liked it, man. Until next time, got any questions, leave for me in the comments. And yeah, until next time.